Hey guys, Jacob Lockridge here. I just wanted to quickly apologize for not apologizing video yesterday. I was working a full day from 9 a.m. to 7:30 at the old spaghetti factory, particularly in the show location. If you're ever in Oregon or if you live in Oregon, stop by spaghetti factory and say hi or whatever. That's my excuse, legitimate excuse for not posting video yesterday. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about where I'm at spiritually. And in order for me to do that, I have to start at the beginning. And some of this I'm going to go in detail. Other, there'll be parts where I probably won't get into too much detail just because, I kind of want to gain your guys's, respect and trust and everything in order to do that. But I'm just going to give you a little bit of a kind of a synopsis of where I've been at spiritually and where I'm at right now and where I hope to go. Basically, and some of you who are in a spiritual journey like I am, or even if you're not, you may understand this. I believe that while a spiritual journey is never ending, that the approach is the destination, but I also believe that there are 4 stages to it. Those 4 stages being dead religion, feeling alive, confusion, and true inner peace. Right now, I am on and off of the 3rd and the 4th stage, and I'll explain that as we get to that point in the video. So I was one of those kids who accepted Christ at a very young age. I believe I was about 5 or 6, and I saw an old Christian television kids classic, The Donut Man, and something just came over me, and I felt like I needed to, know more about Jesus and about God in order to save my soul from eternal damnation. And so I did, and once I did it, I felt like that was it, and this is where the first stage of it just being dead religion came in, where I accepted it and I believed it, but there was no growth. There was no relationship. It was just, I accepted, my fate has been saved, and there's nothing else to it, and that pretty much lasted until probably about when I was just about entering high school. When I just finished graduating middle school and I was entering high school, I went to my first ever high school retreat at Dunes Bible Camp with my church friends and school friends at Southwest Christian School and Bible Church. I remember that one of the elders, Dan Rathjen, was speaking. I don't remember exactly what he taught on, but it was just enough to where a fire just ignited in me, and it just felt like God was telling me that I want you to get back to growing in me. I want you to really have that sense of satisfaction that one gets from believing in me and following me and everything. And at that point, I exited the stage of it just being dead religion, and entered the stage of it just being feeling alive, where I felt like I knew exactly what life was all about, um, and looking through um, the lens of God. Um, and it was at that point where I started to get into the Bible more. I started to um, get involved with not only the high school youth group, but also Bible studies. And hell, I even did a few witnessing gigs downtown Portland. Got to be a part of the hearing side of the conversation. I never actually physically asked anything. I just wanted to follow in whoever was, leading footsteps. Um, and and that stage pretty much lasted probably sometime after I graduated high school in 2013. Um, and then at that point, I entered the stage which I'm on and off on right now, which is the stage of confusion. Now you're probably wondering, how can you be confused about this? You were just in the stage of feeling alive in your faith, and you know everything that there is to know about God and the universe and the meaning of life and everything. Why would you be confused? Well, for some people that is, um, simple and everything, but for me it's not. Um, and I'm not blaming anybody on this, but sometime after I graduated high school, I got exposed to um, different ways of thinking, different beliefs. Um, I even have a few family members who I love very much still to this day, um, who have shared me their beliefs on in their experiences on God. And it's not that I don't disagree with them, but I also don't agree with them at the same time. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Um, it's like I'm trying to find my place in the universe, and I'm trying to find my spectrum of belief of where I stand. Um, and this also came at a point where, I was living at home with my dad. I was, working at a job that I've been at for almost 4 years, a job different to the job that I have now. Um, and and then also you factor in, the family drama that has been happening at that point. It just got to the point where I, in a sense, had to do a spiritual rebellion and remove myself um, from the family equation. And it wasn't a spiritual rebellion against God. I want to make that absolutely clear. This was not a rebellion against God. I think sometimes people, especially different people who profess to believe in God, who, regardless of what sect of Christianity belong to, that they play the God card, and they show their true colors as being modern day Pharisees, and they think they know what's really going on, even if they don't really know the person. When the fact of the matter is, they're human just like all of us. Um, but um, but um, God knew my heart, and He knew and He knew that my life wasn't going to be easy, that what I was dealing with wasn't easy, and I just felt like He just wanted me to just go and live on your own for a certain amount of time, just figure out your identity, who you are, and everything. And so it was more so a rebellion against the people who raised me, and saying in love, look, I understand your concern, and I appreciate what you've taught me and everything, but I need to figure out myself. I need to figure out who I am, in the space of things. Um, and so for 2 years, I lived on my own with a few roommates. One in Tualatin and one in Sherwood, Oregon. Um, and honestly, at the time I made the decision to move out, I was worried that I made the wrong decision. I was worried um, that I screwed up, that I probably made a very bad decision. But looking back on it, 3-ish years later, that probably was one of the best decisions I'd ever made, because if I didn't, I probably would not be as open-minded and as vocal and free about who I am spiritually and all other aspects of life than I am now. I would be so close-minded and so judgmental and so hateful that it would have to take me to reach a state of emotional hell in order for me to realize, what the, hell have we been doing, Um, and so I started seeing these different exposures to spirituality and everything from a different perspective. I started seeing it, and then I went and during my 2 years of being on my own, there would be times where it didn't matter if it was family drama. It didn't matter if it was in my own spiritual journey or whatever. There were times where I prayed to God and I expected an answer. And I don't know how or where I was taught that, but I just got the vibe that if I prayed to God and I didn't hear anything, that there was something wrong with me, that there was probably some unconfessed sin in my life that I needed to repent of and make right. Because it just frustrated me that all I heard from God was silence. But then after doing a lot of thinking in my own space and also watching a lot of videos and talking with, family and friends, it all of a sudden hit me. It just, a light bulb just lit above me over my head, basically saying that I am not using silence as a way to punish you. I am using silence as a way to get you to see the bigger picture of what really matters in life. And it's when I realized that silence is a form of enlightenment. It's a form of growing in God deeper than other forms, you know. Um, and if you want, if you want to know what videos those were and what they are, I'd be happy to copy and paste them on the comment section below. But and so I started really looking at all these different ways of belief as a way of growth. And I also want to make something else perfectly clear. Some of what I have been exposed to help grow in my faith with God, some people would say is, some would say it as wrong. Some would say that I'm going to convert from Christianity to another world religion. I just want to make absolutely perfectly clear, this is another area in which I feel like Christians overcomplicate things. The next thing that I'm about to share with you in my step of journey is I'm not doing this to convert. All I want is clarity and peace of mind, and I just want there to be anything that's positive and in line with, God's plan and the universe's plan that's positive and true, that and that alone I apply. Everything that's negative or false or whatever, that I filter out. I feel like as Christians, I feel like we tend to overcomplicate the situation, and I feel like we tend to um, analyze something along to try to see if it's in line with God's word. And sure, we may find good things, but um, as soon as we find a couple wrong things with it, sorry, my phone's gone off. We as soon as we do that, we we think that there isn't anything that can be learned from something, say like Buddhism or Hinduism. But honestly, I feel like that's foolish and naive of us to think, you know. Um, and the reason why I say that is because I have over the past few months have been exposed to elements of Buddhism and Hinduism, and I just want to repeat that word elements, because in doing my research of Buddhism and Hinduism and the origins and the comparisons between the two different faiths together, as well as when you analyze Christianity with them. Are there wacky beliefs that they hold? Sure. I mean, I would even argue that, as a Jesus follower who believes in God but doesn't go under the label Christian, um, that our form of faith is weird. Every faith is weird. Like even the faith of atheism and agnosticism is weird. Um, so the main question is when it comes to comparing and contrasting as far as growing in your spiritual evolution with God, is do I view Buddha of Buddhism and Krishna from Hinduism and Allah from Muslim, do I view those people as the same as Jesus, as godlike? And the answer is, of course not. I don't view them as God. However, just because they are not God does not necessarily mean that there's any truth that I can learn from them to enhance my growth in God. For example, something that Buddha taught, that Jesus taught, was to always do your best to focus on the present moment at hand, to not dwell on the past or worry about the future. And if you were to analyze both Jesus' words about that and Buddha's words about that, would their words differ as far as the wordplay they would use? Absolutely. They wouldn't copy each other. But with the words being different, the concept of application is the exact same thing. Like, it's borderline creepy. Like, that's how amazing this is. And I just look at this stuff and I'm going, wow, like, God, you are amazing. Like, you are just full of, possibilities, and you are beyond understanding and beyond comprehension, and you're just beyond what people perceive you to be. I feel like people immediately think that people think that God is and or Jesus is what people see in the movies, um, but he was only human in the Gospels. He was human when he was born and everything, but before his birth and then after he ascended into heaven, he was a spirit. That's all that he's ever been. He's just been the universe itself, and I feel like the one thing that and there's been many applications that I've been learning, but the one thing above all that I've been learning and doing the best that I can to do my best in sharing my life with, is to be that example of what true love feels like. To be that part of Christ consciousness. Um, you know, um, now Christ consciousness, people think that Christ consciousness is to mean that you are like God, knowing good and evil. Well, yes and no. I mean, one of the things that God wants from us is to be like him. Now, is it going to be something where we're like that in a day? Absolutely not. We're human. We make mistakes. We're full, unfortunately. But, to hear people like Jim Carrey, or to hear people, other people like him, to say that, that while we're humans and we make mistakes, there's that part of us, that divine part of us, that wants to be connected with God and grow in him, and to evolve in our Christ consciousness with him. To me, that is biblical, because God tore down the veil. When he died on the cross, he tore the veil in two, leaving the modern day Pharisees speechless, that their law, while valid, is no longer valid. And I feel like there's a lot of modern day Pharisees out there who just love to twist and turn the scriptures around. And in doing my research, the only form that I have seen has been Westboro Baptist Church. While they may have some truths that I share, they have more cons than pros, which is not something that I endorse. They're all about, God causing destruction and God causing shootings to happen. That is such a wacky, demonic belief. And of all the messengers of God, and of all the, prophets of God, or pastors or whatever, WBC is the only church that I know of that have heard their message I don't know how many times, and I can say without absolute hesitance that they are false. And in doing research, not just about the church systems, but also about different faiths and everything, I've come to not only understand myself, but others as well. And in doing that, I'm able to love myself, and as well as love other people. And then that's where this fourth stage comes in, which I'm on and off with, of the third stage, which is experiencing true inner peace in my soul. One way that I can share this example with you is, you look at the life of Jesus, as far as from the time that he was a kid, and that section in the Bible where where his parents, Mary and Joseph, they are looking for him because he wandered off, and they find him learning about the law portion of the scriptures under the Pharisees of the law. Now, this next part, I want there to be absolutely complete open-mindedness, complete detachment of the ego, and to just listen with an open mind. Because before I say this next part, I want to clarify that those Pharisees that taught him the law are the exact same Pharisees who wanted to kill him and dubbed him a false Messiah. One of the things that I got exposed to is a conspiracy theory about the life of Jesus, is that from the time that he was about, I want to say 13, 14, till about 30, there's no recording of him in the Bible. And you wonder, well, how can that be? And there are people who say that it's for good reason, that it's not in the Bible. There are people who say that it's not for good reason, that, that there's been adding and subtracting in the Bible, which according to the Bible is not supposed to happen. So there was probably different egos not being detached that were saying, this is right, this is not right. But there's this conspiracy theory that Jesus wandered to the east, maybe to where the wise men were from, who visited him at his birth, to different gurus of the east to learn their philosophies, and probably not necessarily take all of them, but learn the ones that are in fitting with his plan, and then so that his disciples and like the world would understand it, word it in kind of a Christian Christ consciousness like way. Now, do I believe that this actually happened? Honestly, I don't know. You hear people say that this did happen. You see people that you hear people say that this didn't happen. I have a book right now that I'm reading called The Yoga of Jesus. I would highly recommend it. It explores these kinds of concepts, and it's got verses to, I wouldn't say not necessarily back it up, at least not yet, but to just kind of get you intrigued. Now, I say that I'm not sure where I fit in on this because, again, there are people who say who this did happen, and there were people who say that this didn't happen. Honestly, I don't know, and I honestly don't care. Just the fact that this is being debated on, and the fact that, that you have to try to figure out why the Pharisees, who liked talking to Jesus and liked hearing him speak when he was a kid, teaching him the law and hearing his intellect on it, come to find out that when he returned on his journey, they're the same people who criticized him and turned him into a martyr for the gospel, who were judgmental and were playing the God card all of a sudden. You have to wonder, this literally could be a very plausible situation. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I'm intrigued by Western philosophies, but I'm also intrigued by Eastern, and to me, I can't choose one or the other. I have to have the best of both worlds. I have to take from both from what Western philosophies and what Eastern philosophies serve me, and and there did come a point in time where and this was all a part of the kind of confusion stage, but there was a time where, whether or not I had the time to do it, I would take a break from church because, one, I would be getting mixed feelings about people when it came to their friendship with me, but also, having not exactly sure exactly what the church is to me anymore. Like the church is supposed to be a church of God, a church of, non-judgment and freedom of speech and everything. And I'm still to this day kind of trying to figure that out, which is why I'm kind of on and off with stage 3 and 4. But what's interesting is that I'm going to church again because I live with my mom and everything. We live by a church in Newburgh. Even though I'm going to church again and everything, I'm only going to just take away from anything of that message that is for me to apply. If there anything that isn't, then I won't. But and it's just one of those things where it's like, you can have all the the church organizations you have, regardless of what sect of Christianity or what sect of belief it is, but at the end of the day, the greatest church of God that I've come to experience is the church of life, the church of nature. Being around the creation, being around the universe, and just breathing in and out with your eyes open and with your eyes closed, and just being in the present now moment, and just being like, This is the day that you have made, God. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Let us not worry about the future. Let us not dwell in the past, which, is hard for us to do, you know. And, another truth that God has just revealed to me is that, you look at, that there's two different, you look at how people say that there are two different types of people, and that there are those who, there are those who, that, man, I'm trying to think of the persons. There are those who say that there are those who think jokes are funny, and those who don't. There are those who say that, those who believe in God, those who don't. This is going to sound very weird, maybe even blasphemous to some people, but honestly, I don't care because I'm at peace with where I'm at right now, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm not sorry for this, but to me, there were only two different types of people, and it doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what you identify as your sexuality. It doesn't even matter what you identify as your religious or spiritual affiliation. Ultimately, there are two different types of people. There are those who come from a loving place in life, and those who come from an unloving place in life. Simple as that. But yeah, that's just kind of a little bit of a kind of a synopsis of where I started and where I'm at now. I have a load of books, mostly Christian. There are books that aren't Christian, but they do have that positive mindset of trying to live the best life that you can live. There are these other books that I don't have, but I really want to have in this trying to become one with the universe and the universe being one with me and being interconnected with people and with the divine. But yeah, so that's really my story, as far as, my belief in God and my spiritual evolution. Feel free to like to subscribe to this. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. And I would please urge you all, when it comes to commenting, if you are someone who professes to be a Christian, or if you don't believe in God and you want to pass on hateful, judgmental comments on here, I would highly suggest that before you do that, to look inside of yourself and ask yourself the question, do I have any sin? Do I have any negativity going on in my life? Because if you don't do that and you just immediately, speak your mind and everything and spit out hate and everything, you may think you're sharing the love of God and you may think that you're doing God a favor, but really what you're doing is you're playing the God card and you're really giving the love of God a bad name because you're not detaching your ego from what's really important. So for those of you who are open-minded and not judgmental and understanding and supportive of people like me who are in this journey of his life, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, to you guys, I welcome your comments. To those of you who are not, I would either not comment at all, or before you do comment, really take a hard look inside of yourself in the mirror before you do this. But yeah, that's my video. I will try to get another one up tomorrow, maybe Friday, or no, not tomorrow's Friday. Either tomorrow or Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Tomorrow I have another full day, 9 o'clock in the morning until 7:30 and everything. So I may not do it tomorrow, but I will try my best to get another video going Saturday or Sunday. And just when you comment, when it comes to suggestions, leave me suggestions what to talk about, whether it's something else about God or stuff that's fun regarding movies, games, TV shows, Even let me know what's going on in your life, so I can maybe see if it's something that I've been through, and see if I can help you through it. But yeah, it's been nice talking with you guys. I thank you for your open mindedness and your understanding, and I will talk to you guys later. Rom Rom.